ahead and hit the record. So I want to just welcome everybody who is watching live, those of us who are joining here inside the Blab. I am super happy that you guys are here. I'm just going to go ahead and let our guests come in here. All right, so while they're coming in, I just want to introduce myself. I want to welcome you to Entrepreneurship and Marriage. This is an extremely exciting Blab for me tonight. I'm your host, Kelly Frazier, and this Blab is all about loving differently and building high-quality relationships while building your life. And after the release of my 8th book, I'm just going to hold it up here. My 8th book is called Love Differently, Stay Married. And this book came out because I had so many entrepreneurial friends and colleagues whose marriages were falling apart. And this is a challenge, right? But this also is what inspired me to really, create a Blab, create the book, create the 21 videos, because there's something very unique and special about marriage, and it really is a covenant. And when we are having a great time building our marriage, but our businesses, but we're forgetting to build our marriages, there's a problem, there's a breakdown. And so that's why this was created. Now, again, the inspiration behind all of the books that I share from my heart come from God's words, personal experiences in my own relationships and in my clients' relationships. I live to help people create more freedom and unity in their life as an author, speaker, and a relationship coach. Tonight, I'm so excited because I get to introduce to you two people who are entrepreneurs, philanthropists, and lifelong marriage partners. They're beautiful people that I've just really had the privilege of following for a number of years, actually. Since 2009, I think, was when I first met Stu McLaren, who was working with Alex Mendosian at the time. And Alex was my first teacher, but Stu was my second teacher. And I learned so much from you, Stu. I just can't even begin to tell you. So I just want to welcome you both here tonight. And I'm going to do another introduction here with Amy in just a second. Stu, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. It's awesome. I was Amy and I were reminiscing at the dinner table tonight. I said, it was a long time ago that Kelly and I first met, and I knew it was around that time. But it's great to still be
absolutely.
connected.
You were called the idea guy, right? Back then.
Yeah, and like in internet years, I mean, we've really known each other in lifetime.
That's true. That's true. And then I had the privilege of not meeting Amy, but getting connected to Amy through you. Amy and I have a heart for the same passion and purpose in life, and that is to create schools for children who are in need, even schools who are not for children who are not in need. So Amy, thank you so much for joining me here tonight.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. It's very rare that Stu and I do an interview like this. So it's exciting to share some of our relationship stuff.
It is rare. There's no doubt about it. I mean, entrepreneurs don't typically have, the spouse come on board when they're doing their work, right? So I just thought it would be a great opportunity to have you guys just explain to our community how it is that you guys are so unique in your relationship, because as I watch you build not just business, Stu, but build your life, your home with your children, which is awesome. You've adopted a little boy. He's awesome. There's just so many great things that are exciting about your life together, as we all, can kind of watch from Facebook and watch from building your entrepreneur world as well as your philanthropy world. So we're going to talk a lot about that stuff tonight. And how about if we just start with, just let us know, like, how did you become an entrepreneur? Let's just start with that question.
Well, I think I probably took the lead on that. What'd you say?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So my reason for wanting to become an entrepreneur was, I went through college for business, went through, to a great business school, but the entire time I was there, I felt like a square peg in a round hole. They were, teaching us to essentially become executives, and I came out of there. I got offered a great job. My parents were ecstatic. I was going to be making more money than both of them combined. I had the company car, the benefits, all that schnaz. But the bottom line was, I just felt this like thing inside of my stomach that said, this is the wrong path. And so even though I had signed on the dotted line to begin working with that company, I decided to not quit, but resign before I even started. And I didn't know really what I was going to do, but that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial path. And Amy and I were together at that point, like 2.5 years we had been dating?
Yeah, I think so.
And but she was like super supportive. It was just like one of those things right from the get-go. She's like, you'll figure it out, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And so along I went. And so that began my career. And what I ended up doing was becoming a motivational speaker for high school and college students. And that began what has led to a path now of where I now consult and coach with many big name authors and speakers and so forth, helping them build their brands and online. So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. Well, feel free to name drop. It's okay.
Well, yeah. So we're very fortunate. We've worked with amazing people. Like New York Times bestselling author Michael Hyatt. I was business partners with him. New York Times bestselling author Chris Carr from Crazy Sexy Chris. She's an amazing person. And she was just on speaking on Oprah's stage this past weekend. So she's an amazing client. Another client, New York Times bestselling author Ruth Sukip. She's a great dear friend. Gabby Bernstein is coming in next month. So I'm just very fortunate. Got an amazing group of people that I get to work with. And it's been great.
Well, I would say that, pretty much those people are amazing and they work with amazing people. So, it's not surprising to me that you guys are working together. So Amy, what about you? How did you start into this crazy world?
Yeah, I didn't start on it like Stu. I mean, we met at university when we were doing an undergrad, and I had my Bachelor of Arts in Geography and Social Sciences, and we met there, and I wasn't really, and I didn't know as much as Stu, or I didn't have that feeling like he did. I was always into traveling, and I loved traveling, loved playing with kids and all of that. And when we were dating back in university, before we even got married, we were together 7 years. And I think out of that 7 years, 4 years, I was in the same country. So he would always show up. She
was always gone, Kelly. She was just constantly gone. I was like the cat that kept coming back at the airport. I just kept showing up.
I even went to Australia for a year, and he's still getting my master's in education, and I don't know, it just worked. And so for me, I was pursuing more of teaching abroad, education, any travel experience I could get my hands on, directing language schools, having a staff of 25 at one point in England. And so I was all over the map. I'd never really had a long-term vision for myself. I was more just enjoying teaching and traveling. And but then Stu would always listen to audio tapes and that's really dating us now, but audio or things in the car. And eventually I start listening to it. And fast forward to today, and we both do. We both listen to a lot of self-development. We're reading all the time. And now it is.
She got the bug.
It is part of our everyday kind of thing.
Well, it's interesting because I know, we've all heard the saying that's lasted for years and years that if you stop growing, you start dying, right? And I honestly believe that it's true. When I first heard it, I was actually recovering from a brain injury. So I didn't quite grasp that. I didn't quite understand that. And as I began to learn and to grow and to really, kind of use all of my faculties again, I started to recognize that phrase is what kept me going more and more as I began to learn more and more. And then there was a time where I stopped learning and I realized I started falling backwards. And I'm like, oh my gosh, It's so true. You do start dying. The things that if you're not moving forward, you are going to start moving backwards again, because that's that subconscious brain that kind of kicks us into gear of going backwards. So I'm thankful that you guys are constantly into personal development. And I love how, Stu, you share things on Facebook that not very many people know how to share that way. I think your shares are brilliant. Your faces are hilarious. Now you've got your children and your wife doing the same faces.
I'm working on it.
Not all the time. Although our kids do tend to do your face now.
Yeah, they're into it.
Yeah, it's so cute. I love watching it. So what I would love for you guys to do is describe for me each other and your relationship, just specifically your marriage as it pertains to how you live and how you work. But I want you to describe each other instead of yourselves. I want you to talk about how Amy is able to help you thrive in marriage and entrepreneurship without using the word love. And then Amy, your turn, and you do the same thing with Stu. Make sense?
Okay. All right. Got it. Well, no, I'm just kidding. Okay. So I think the thing that really set us up well was we had an experience when we were dating that really gave us insight into what a broken marriage would look like. And that for us, that happened early. I mean, I think we had been dating, what, 5?
I had just gotten back from teaching.
So that would have been 5 years?
2003. 4.
Okay, so maybe it's a little earlier. So maybe like 4 or 5 years. And that really helped us because even though it was a terrible experience being witness to this broken relationship, what it did was it gave us insight in terms of what not to do. And one of the biggest contributors to the breakdown of that relationship that we witnessed was a lack of communication. And so that was one thing. And so when Amy and I, one of the things that we really hold true to each other is open communication. And, there'll be days that'll go by like where one of us will be annoyed with something and maybe we don't share it right away. But for the most part, we're pretty upfront in like sharing the things that bug us earlier rather than later, because if you leave them, they just brew. Right. And then they build into something that, a week, a month down the road, you forget what the original reason why you were upset. You just know that you're upset and angry. Right. So kind of our rule of thumb is that we just don't go to bed without voicing what we're actually thinking and feeling and all that kind of stuff. And that's really helped us. Wouldn't you agree?
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I smile because, just the other day we had something that annoyed me and he can tell, like we've been together for so long. He knows when, okay, what's the deal? Like, and it'll come out. Right. But yeah,
and I think that's healthy. Like when you're not communicating, then all those feelings can begin to bubble and boil and that's when trouble begins. So for us, that's been a big thing is communication. The other thing I would say that Amy really helps me with in terms of our marriage is that she makes a conscious effort for us to do things together that are outside of business, outside of the charity. She's really, really good at that. I can get very locked into the business and what I'm doing, and I just get into a zone. And Amy's the one that pulls me out and helps me realize that there's life outside of the business. All the work that we're doing with the charity, that's a perfect example. I mean, before Amy gave me that experience, I wrote checks to charities all the time, but I never really immersed myself into the work of, philanthropy. That P word, philanthropy. And
it's not an easy word to say.
Yeah, but then Amy gave me that experience, and it completely transformed my life. And so Amy's really good at keeping us grounded in terms of creating experiences for us in our marriage, but also in our family. Both, just little date nights, travel, experiences with the family where we go off together, the charity stuff. She's just amazing at really creating experiences where we create shared memories together. And I think that has really helped us create a lot of things together. And there's a lot of synergy because of that, because now we have a lot of interests together.
Right. Yeah. And I've totally understood what it is that you're talking about, being zoned. My husband is the balance of us too. He pulls me out too. And it's great. It's awesome to be able to have somebody that can do that for you. So
yeah, I'd be a total hermit if it wasn't for Amy. I'd be like,
you would still be in
big bushy beard.
You'd still be in your parents' basement eating their food with a shake. Come on, let's go.
Might as well just be honest, put it out on.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so Amy, what about for you?
For me, it's Stu's the. I'd say we're both dreamers, but he is the one that kind of always pushes it to the next level, and you just not settling if it's not what you want, and kind of being creative and helping me think of ways to get around obstacles that come up if there's something I want to do, or just thinking really outside the box, and, nothing's too big or too crazy. Like, it's all doable. It's just putting it into the plan and figuring it out. So he's definitely that, and definitely a big part of our family, and going into having our kids too, and the way he interacts with our children, and talking about business, but talking about life and how we incorporate them in some of our charity stuff, and just always thinking about the big picture down the road and not so much the present right now. It's always, how it applies to the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And then I would say that we spend time on our date nights, and for us it's important, especially with 2 little kids. I mean, we have Sam's 2, Marla's 5 on Sunday, and if you're not careful, I think you get sucked into constantly being around parents, changing diapers, and not having those moments. And we make those special where it's just the 2 of us and a glass of wine, not in our home. Or sometimes it is. I mean, sometimes it's on the couch, or sometimes it's in the basement, but we try to get out and do things together. And
the one other thing that really comes to mind, especially particularly now, because I'm in a point of transition in my career. I'm going for something big and for something new, and there's all kinds of self-doubt and anxiety and nervousness and excitement that all creeps into one. One of the big things that Amy really helps me is she just feeds me confidence. It's like this, I get this self-belief that I can do anything from her. And, she just believes in me. And when your partner is like your biggest cheerleader, you feel unstoppable. You feel like you can do anything. And, that's one thing I'm tremendously grateful for when it comes to Amy, because she believes in everything that I'm doing and we're doing together. And that's a huge, huge contributing factor to how close we are.
That is extremely huge. I mean, it sounds to me like what really helps you guys to stay balanced, and I use that term loosely because I don't know that we can ever, if we search for balance, I think sometimes we can drive ourselves crazy, but as we can just stay present in our everyday life and really make those connections valuable and intentional, then it really does bring a more of a balanced life to us. But what it sounds to me like is, Stu, you bring the problem solving skills, you bring the dreams, and you kind of press into Amy's desire to do something, but you just take it to the next level, like she said. And for you, it sounds to me like Amy is there to bring that respect level that a lot of husbands would love to hear from their wives, the uplift, the championing, the honey, you can do this, you can do it, and you can do it great, and that's something that really a lot of couples lack, that level of respect and that level of, we can get through this together. It's called unity in my book. And I feel like unity is something that was actually divine. It was God-given for us to be unified in the things that we do. And I think when things start to fall apart, it's when unity is not there and not present anymore. And that becomes an indifferent world. So I'm wondering, do you guys ever get to that place where sometimes you are annoyed, right, with each other, and sometimes that level of indifference might happen to just crop up, and then you say, okay, I can't go down that direction, we really need to make this work, and then you kind of go at it head to head? Have you ever had those experiences in your marriage?
Oh yeah. I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy for couples to have disagreements. I would say the one thing that I do love about the way that Amy and I do disagree is we very rarely get heated with each other. So, I can never recall any time where we've like called each other names or anything of that nature. Can't even remember one that we've ever gotten heated. We don't get heated. We do disagree, that's for sure. But I think a lot of that, what ends up happening is it comes out in conversation, and we just sit down and we talk about it. For example, like this is kind of a little aside, but when we first, when we got married and then we were sleeping together in the same bed, I am a heavy sleeper and I fall asleep really fast. So literally, like, as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out. And this was a problem because Amy, she loves to talk about the day. at nighttime. And so what was happening was like Amy was, we were talking about the day, and then I would fall asleep, and then Amy would be like ticked. And so, you know,
when you're talking about something that's important to you, and then like, is that not important to you?
And that wasn't it at all. I just fall asleep fast.
Right.
So we just, you know, we talk it out, and now we have kind of this whole like little funny thing where I give Amy like the 2-minute rule. It's like, babes, if there's anything that we need to discuss, we got to do it in the next 2 minutes, because I'm fading, and I'm fading fast. And
but now it's all too like I know he's gonna fade out. I've learned now after being married almost 10 years that there are good times to talk. So now I manage, we take the kids to school together. That's one thing about being an entrepreneur I love. Like, we can take our kids to school together. We pick them up together, like when we can. And I know that 10 minutes in the car, I can ask him something, and I have his attention, and I'm like, if it's something I need to get right away or something. So
it's true.
You still do fall asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely fall asleep, but we've figured out the best times to communicate and to iron those wrinkles out. So I mean, like, yes, we definitely disagree. We definitely have those moments, but I would say, you said it earlier, is the respect for each other. We don't get heated. We don't swear. We don't yell. We don't call each other names or anything of that nature. Because the other side of that too is that it's not only our relationship, but it's also, we're teaching the kids as well. They learn just as much from what we teach as they do from just observing us.
I think it's also like admitting, I mean, I'm not always right. Like, I'm wrong a lot of times.
Oh, can we get that? This is being recorded, right?
I'm wrong, and I'm wrong. And you have to. And it's like, but it takes like to admit that you're wrong. And even in front of your kids, like sometimes we make mistakes. And I don't think, you know, it's hard to sometimes admit that you're wrong, especially if you've been, you know, saying a few times and you believe that you're right. And then, you know, when you take a step back and actually get off what you were trying to focus on or something, and you know that you're wrong. The kids need to see that. The kids need to see that, you know, you're not always right, and it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to get angry, and it's okay. It's how you handle those emotions and what you do with it that's important. But there's nothing wrong with crying and being angry
Yeah. So I think that it's just about communication again. It really just comes down to communication.
It does. And it's interesting. I have like 7, it's not 7 steps, it's more like 7 tips, because even if you do like 2 out of the 7, you're still going to have a greater relationship than if you didn't do any of them at all. But number 1 is to unify in everything that you do. So if you guys, when you come into some kind of a discussion, if you're able to say, okay, can we agree that I'll have 2 minutes before you fall asleep, you know, so that I can have that time to talk? Or can we agree that when we sit in the car, that I'll get a chance to talk to you about things that are important to me? So if you always start with, can we agree, then already you're 1 step ahead, because you both will typically agree, right?
Yep, yeah. Totally. Yeah, it definitely works.
It's not just the bed. He falls asleep. You wouldn't want to sit next to him on the plane either. You're like 2 seconds down the runway and he's slobbering over the next to
Okay.
It's in the car. He can't even drive at night.
Oh, this is so good. I love it. Okay, what about the car? Does he fall asleep in the car too?
Can't drive at nighttime. Like, you can, but if we're on coming back from my mom who lives 4 or 5 hours away, I do the whole drive.
Okay, you don't have to give away all the secrets.
Okay, so Stu, I'm gonna just tell you, I think we were like born of the same cloth in that, because I'm the same exact way, and I have no idea why. I honestly do not have a GPS. Well, the brain injury helped kind of, take that away, but I seriously could not tell you where we've been or where we're headed, because my face is either in a book or I'm sound asleep. And my poor husband, I call him Mr. GPS because he has no choice. He's got to step into that role, Poor guy.
Yeah, I'm a good daytime driver.
Yep.
But nighttime, I unless I've got the window down and the music cranked
and your pack of peanuts.
Yeah, and I'm eating like nuts, or I'm useless.
Right. Yep. I hear you. Amy, I just love you. This is so much fun. Okay. So you guys, in the book, I talk about 5 secrets specifically. And the only reason I keep bringing the book up is because this whole blab was created essentially around these 5, we call them 5 secrets, but they're really 5 principles to love. And I'm wondering, which of these 5 principles do you guys find in your marriage that really are like some of the most important ones to you, okay? And maybe just pick one. Each of you pick one. That would be really good. So the first one is to have faith or to love God. The second one is to take personal responsibility. The third is to celebrate the victories. The fourth is to be unified. And the fifth is to show gentleness. So out of those 5, which one do you feel like resonates with you the most and why? Do you want me to repeat them?
Well, I know the 3 that resonate with me.
Yeah, there's a few. But
Okay, so the 3 that
you just took one because
I know. This is my process of distilling.
Okay,
I can go first.
Okay, you got it. There you go.
For me, they're all kind of at the same level, but the celebrating your victories, I think
That was one of my 3.
Well, I know it was because they're all weird. But no, I think it's important, especially as an entrepreneur and as a couple. Like being an entrepreneur, it's not easy. Like there are times when it's really hard. And I mean, when Stu started out, I mean, in his parents' basement, I mean, I was completing my Master's of Education in Australia for the year. And, you know, it was hard. I mean, there were times I know he was going to quit. And there were times when he was at a conference and I think he was eating one pizza for like 3 days because he had no money. Like, you know, and it's really hard. And I think we both kind of have grown a lot now, obviously, and built our careers, but we've celebrated along the way and made sure we've taken time out as a couple and as a family to celebrate those things. I mean, just coming back off our recent trip, Stu worked when he could or when he did, but we always took time to, you know, appreciate where you are and celebrate. Wow, we've been away for 7 weeks. Like we've been in Hawaii for a month. Let's take a moment and celebrate the fact that we get to live in Hawaii for a month and soak up the sunshine. And if you don't celebrate those things, I think you're just always running to the next thing. And you got to enjoy. Stu, you always say this to me. You always say you got to always enjoy. What do you say to me? Always enjoy the path.
Oh yeah, enjoy where we've come from.
Enjoy where you've come from, and enjoy like the road to your success or where we're going and taking the time. And like I said, not just with us, but with our family. And we like to include our like extended family and include them in it. I mean, we rented that condo in Hawaii 3 years ago when Marla was younger than 1. And it was a 3-bedroom. It's a beautiful place, right close to the ocean. And when we went that year, we invited friends and family to come. And we're like, we'll cover everything. Just get a flight here. There's a room for you. So it's celebrating with us, family, but then also with our loved ones and our close family to give back to anyone.
Good answer.
And enjoy it with other people. It's fun to enjoy success with other people.
That's awesome. Great answer. Yeah.
That is good.
I know what you're going to
Man, what do you think I'm going to say? You do. You're right. I was good. Okay, so the unity. And I think that to me stems from our experience when we were young and we saw that couple's relationship just crumble. And that was probably our biggest lesson that laid the foundation for us in terms of what is necessary to have a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage. And you know, don't get me mistaken, we're not always on the same page. But we work very hard to be on the same page. So we're not always, but we work hard to be eventually. And, you know, I just think that that's so important. I think like when people are divided, that's when it's just even if it's a little bit over time, that divide becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And so you got to keep it close. And, you know, here's just a little example that we've seen in some of our friends. Like we both enjoy things that the other has no interest in. So like I am a very competitive sports guy. So like I've always been involved. Very. Always been involved in competitive sports. Amy has no interest in sports whatsoever.
I did. I was a skier. I did.
That's right. Skiing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the basketball, volleyball, like kind of person.
Yeah, that's true. You are. Skiing is definitely your
thing. But still, I wasn't competitive. I did my best and I was happy with that.
But Amy also has a lot of interests outside of everything that we do too that I have no interest in. Right. And I think one of the key things is like when it comes to unity is like being okay with that we have differences and we don't all have to do the same thing and giving each other permission to like go and do those things and go enjoy those things, and not have any guilt wrapped around that. So Amy's always encouraged me to stay with soccer. That's something that I've continued playing ever since college. And Amy has interests that she loves pursuing that, like her travel is a perfect example. I love to travel, but this girl would be a gypsy. I mean, she would be gone all the time. Sure. And I have a homebody. I'm a homebody, so I like being home. And so, how do we balance that? Well, a perfect example is like last year, I could tell she had the itch and she was like dying to go somewhere. And I said, well, why don't you go on a trip? Go with a girlfriend, and I think when you have that balance of outside interests and the unity of, helping each other just get on the same page and say, listen, I know this is something you want to do, so go do it. And I know this is something you want to do, so you go do it. And being okay with that and trying as much as possible to keep each other close. Because if she denied me something that I was passionate about, or I denied her something that she was passionate about, there'd be a little bit of resentment there.
Well, I think it's funny when we look back at like our relationship. I mean, we've been together 15 years and married, 9 this year.
9 this year.
But, back in those days of university when I was like 23, 22, and I was traveling, and that was really important to me. And it still is today. Like we travel a ton. But I think if he had once said, I don't want you to go, and became, almost don't go, I don't want you to go, I wouldn't be with him today. It's the fact that he was always, oh yeah, that's great. Like, I know that he missed me, and the cards I got, like he was always very, showed me that he loved me, but he showed me in ways that I didn't feel trapped. I knew that he was supportive and that he loved me. And to this day, I think if he had once said on the countless times that I traveled abroad to work, had said, don't go, I don't want you to, I would have. I don't think we would be together because he didn't encourage it.
That's good to know.
That's true. I mean, like,
I think she may be planting the seed for a future trip here. Yeah.
I suspect there's going to be plenty of seeds for plenty of future trips.
Yes. But I think for me, it's unity for sure. Like if we weren't on the same page, we wouldn't have been able to do half the stuff that we have done, and we wouldn't be able to do any of the things that we're about to do. So.
Right. Oh gosh, you guys, there is so much that I want to ask you. I mean, I could literally keep you guys on here all day. I'm trying to pick like the last like one major question that I would have, but it's coming out in like 10 different questions. So I guess the last question that I would love to know the answer to, and I think there's one other person online here with us tonight. And Nancy, if you want to come into the seat, you're welcome to do that if you have a question for Stu and Amy. But I think really what I think would love, the community asks me questions all the time. And the one question that I would love to have someone like you guys to answer is it important to put your relationship ahead of the children? Now, you guys have adopted a child, and you had Marla, first of all. And so as you start to build your family, how do you feel about putting your relationship first as opposed to the children? Because this has been a really significant conflict in a lot of homes. And so I know my view of it, but I would love to hear yours.
I know mine right away. It's us first, I think, because at the end of the day, kids are happy when you're happy. They're happy when they see a healthy relationship. And, I'm a role model for Marla, and I want to show her what a good, what a great mom is on many levels. And I personally don't think that you can be an awesome parent if there's struggles or something. I don't know. I'm sure there's tension and stuff. It just makes it difficult. And I think if you don't concentrate on the core, if this is good, everything else seems to gel. But, if those days, this morning I wanted to get an email out. There was something that was very important to me that I wanted to get out. And, I'm like, I have to get this out. And like the kids were in the bedroom, and I'm like, guys, go and see your dad. I really have to get this out. And rarely we do that in the morning because the kids breakfast time, family time. But
this was an email with somebody who was overseas.
And they were leaving, and I wanted to get it out. And And you could just see it all of a sudden. The kid's like, well, what? This isn't what we normally do. And like, it threw everything off. We were late. It was like a gong show this morning. It was just, everything just went wrong. And that's just little, like, that was just me trying to do something. And, you know, I don't know, for me, it is like, it's like taking care of yourself. Like I can be great if I go to the gym. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I love it. Marla, the kids know I go to the gym. And if I'm not healthy, I can't be a good wife. I can't have a good relationship. I don't know. So I think
I'd say the same thing. And here's a story that this was just over it would have been 4 years ago that we made this decision, and 3 years that it actually happened. So one of the things that we found was that there was a whole lot of stress in our house, and it wasn't like stress that was being caused between us in terms of our relationship, but it was stress that was then causing friction between us because we were both annoyed, we were both agitated, and so we decided to get to the bottom of it. And what we realized was, it's going to sound silly, but the things that were causing us stress were Amy and I both don't like cooking whatsoever. Like, we hate cooking. And so we like eating, but we don't like cooking. So what would happen when it was just Amy and I, we had no kids, here's what would happen, Kelly. We would basically play chicken. So it was like, we would hold off until the other person got more hungry and would then just give in and go make dinner. And then we'd be like, oh, since you're making dinner, you know, can I have some?
And so, all the time was me.
And I was always really good at that game. So, but then what would happen is we'd eat like really crappy food because we don't like cooking. So we just throw in something fast, and it was awful. So that caused stress. Cooking caused stress. Another thing that caused stress was laundry. And it got to the point where, I mean, I think we did this. I did this on a subconscious level. Instead of like washing, I would just buy more t-shirts. And so I'd literally have like this massive stack of t-shirts. And then I would just like slowly go down the stack and of clean t-shirts. And then the laundry would just slowly start to pile up. And then we'd have like this massive pile of laundry.
And it would be like in the washing machine would go through about 6 times the cycle. I'd like wash it, and then I'd walk away and then come back and it'd be all stinky and gross. And like, oh, I have to wash it again. It
cost so much. It cost so much stress. So there's that. And there's all these things. So we're like thinking of all these things, like, how can we resolve this? Like, if we resolve this stress, like, I'm sure it'll like make things better. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up hiring full-time help. And in the beginning, I wouldn't have even thought of it. Amy thought of it. But in our area, like nobody hired full-time help. Like
full-time help for cooking.
Like cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids. Like Marla was just young then. And nobody ever did that. Well, we looked into it, and it was actually cheaper than having your kids in daycare, 2 kids in daycare full time. So we're like, okay, so we gave it a try, and it was a complete game changer for us. Like, you know, if it was black, I mean, it was white the next day. And Leanne, who lives with us, she's lived with us, it'll be almost 4 years now, right?
3 years in June.
3 years in June. So she's lived with us for 3 years, and it was a complete game changer for us. The stress in our house, gone.
Wow.
And what that did was it, like, when that stress is gone, now you can just enjoy each other's company. And I think had we not taken care of ourselves in that situation, we would not be able to spend quality time with the kids.
Because that's what in the end, that's what it boiled down to. It's like trying to juggle. Stu was in wish list at that time. Like, we're starting the charity. Like, we're trying to juggle all these balls, and I'm trying to raise Marla, and I'm like, I can't be a good mom because my head is like spinning and I'm tired and stressed out. And so Leanne,
and we got more t-shirts to wash.
Yeah. But Leanne's been awesome, and she helps us with the kids. But I mean, both of them are in Montessori school now, and our friends are like, so she never really looked after them full time. That was the thing. She was never a full time.
No, it was more, she was just like a house manager, like just helped us with stuff.
And she helps with the charity on and off and stuff now. And our friends like, so is she gonna leave? And I'm like, no. I'm like, we've just incentivized her contract to where, you know, it's.
We don't ever want her to leave. Like, we want her with us until we grow old.
Yeah.
But the point is, Kelly, is like, to answer your question, it was our relationship to priority over the kids. Because if we weren't in a state where we loved each other and could love them, I don't think that we could be the same kind of parents. Now, I mean, I'm very proud of the way that we parent. When we spend the time that we have with our kids is always quality time. We're always playing. We're always running. We're always singing. We're always reading with them. Like, it's quality time with the kids. If we didn't have Leanne, who's just outside there, hi Leanne, then it would never work. So I'm with Amy. I think if you don't take care of yourselves and your relationship, then it's hard to take care of the kids.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. You guys, I cannot tell you how valuable that little bit of information was right there. I mean, you have probably now gotten other people to think, well, wait a minute. If I hired somebody to come into my house, would that be less expensive than bringing my kids to the daycare? Just that one thing right there gets people to shift their thinking. And I think that's huge, especially for those people who are constantly in this battle. And it's the children first, right?
Even, sorry, that is a say, battle. Like even, I mean, as a mom, that was like, I was uncomfortable with that at first. And now I'm like, the positives that have come for it, like friends have seen, they're like, wow, like where do we get, like they see the difference that has happened. But it doesn't even have to be full-time. For us, it was full-time, but it's, it's somebody maybe to come in and help with groceries or getting the groceries delivered or, or helping with the cleaning. Like, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's nothing wrong with getting help with that can give you quality time to work on your business or your relationship or have a date night. Like
it has.
I almost think it's necessary. I feel like it's necessary if you're going to be a full-time entrepreneur, if you have children, if you have a house to clean, if you have meals to cook,
yeah, well,
it's
like
almost a necessary thing.
I've shared this with a number of people. My business partner and great friend, Michael Hyatt, he and his wife, Gail, they hired full-time help. One of my clients, and she's an amazing friend, Chris Carr, she just recently hired help, and it's just her and her husband. But what the difference is it's a complete game changer because you can focus as an entrepreneur on what you're doing, and you don't have, as Amy said, all that other stuff swirling around. Like I don't even think about when I should be eating. Like if Amy would ever leave, like if she was gone on a trip or something, I wouldn't eat.
I think and he's already small. He would lose like 10 pounds or something. And I haven't eaten like.
I would get so focused, and I wouldn't eat. And then, so I made a deal with Leanne. I said, Leanne, you just have to bring something to me because I get in a zone, and she does. And now like I eat way better, like a million times better. And it's like her little challenge. Like she loves like keeping me healthy, and but it's just stuff that doesn't consume your mind so that you can focus on the few things that you do really, really well. And for us, it's the charity and it's the business and it's our relationships with each other and kids. So.
Exactly. Now, you guys, I do have someone who's in the seat. Nancy's already here, and I have one more person calling in. Do you still have a couple minutes, or do you need to leave? Because I want to honor you.
Nancy!
Yes. All right. Hi, Nancy.
Oh, I've been enjoying this. I love the topic. Both myself and my husband are putting businesses together, getting ready to launch them. So it's busy time trying to get that done. And I love the idea that we don't have children. My sons are 40, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But yes, it can be really hard on the marriage. We've noticed that we haven't had as much time to socialize with other people. It's just everything has gone into the businesses at this point. And this is a fantastic topic. Nobody really talks about it. It's hard on the home life, especially at this stage.
True.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think being an entrepreneur,
it definitely is hard.
It's hard too because if you work from home, like we struggle with this when you work from home, like the office is right there and balancing that kind of, daddy's working, or can I come in and play? Is mommy in a meeting or what?
Or even if the door is closed, like this happened today, door is closed and I'm trying to focus and write. And then all of a sudden I hear Sam, our 2-year-old, just wailing, because he didn't get his own way. And so it's like, do I go and I find out and sort out the situation? But those are just that's just part of the deal. There's all kinds of distractions all the time.
Exactly. So Nancy, did you have a question for either Amy or Stu?
I really wanted to come on and just say I have thoroughly enjoyed your openness and your honesty. It's been wonderful and refreshing. I'm getting ready to coach women who are struggling with marriage and the husband's disengaged, trying to help them realize there's a lot they can do. But I love this topic because I ran a business from home for 40 years before trying to get into the online business too. So I know It's always been a challenge. I used to have my children running around while I dressed. Oh yeah, I did dressmaking for 40 years, but now don't want to be actually doing a physical business. It's getting a little too hard to do. Actually, I'm a lot older than.
Yeah. So you're making a big shift then, going from dressmaking for 40 years into coaching women,
Although
right?
I actually found I was doing that anyway. It's like a hairdresser.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. I can see that for
that's
sure.
One of the reasons I kind of went that way. Plus, I feel like I was called to it. But
awesome.
Very good. Well, we're glad that you're doing it. Yeah, that's fantastic. The more people that can do this, the better. So I'm going to switch over to Carlton for a second.
Hey, how you doing? How's everyone doing?
Carlton, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you, sir.
Good.
Give me 1 second to take a sip of my tea here.
It's okay.
Sorry for any slurping I might do online. Oh, okay, good.
Carlton and I met when I did my very first lab. Do you remember that, Carlton?
Lab, was it? Ah, okay.
It was my very first lab. And I kept saying to him, I don't see this much of his head. And I kept saying, Carlton, I can't see
Wilson on Tool Time. This is it. This is my fence here. Really good,
great audio.
Good show. I I guess was going to echo what Nancy said. A very good show, and I'm really glad to see somebody talking about it. I can say, having had my children grow up and leave, that there is light at the end of the rainbow in terms of working from home.
Thank you.
Not that I don't love my kids, but you're right. Sometimes they make things a little bit more difficult. But no, I found that with my wife and I running our business, it actually. I think it brings us together more than it is separating us. I think it is nice to be able to both be focused on the exact same goal, and sort of being able to contribute together to to a common cause, if you will. We do, and I suspect it's probably true of anybody that's married that's in business. We sort of have split this up along the lines of what I'm good at and what she's good at, or maybe more appropriately, all the things that she's good at and the one or two things that I'm good at. It kind of like you were saying earlier, she keeps me healthy, although it may not be apparent. But she loves to bring me, she brings me lunch. I make breakfast, but then she brings me lunch, and she always brings me this really healthy stuff. And if it was just me and I was outside of the home working, this would be McDonald's every day. I'd be killing myself, right? So now I get to eat healthier. But I do enjoy it. And, there are, I'm sure everybody here has got more stories than I have, but there certainly are a lot of interesting things that sort of, whoops, we just lost something. There are some interesting things, that happen. But again, it's fun. I think it's nice when you and your spouse are engaged in the same thing. Ups and downs. It's kind of fun because, you got another person there that kind of lightens the load. When it's something bad, and then when it's really good, you've got somebody to share it with. So I think it's a plus in both directions.
I would agree.
That's very true. Yeah, very good. So Stu and Amy, we've actually lost your visual. It just shows audio only. It says poor internet signal at the moment, but that's fine as long as we can still hear you. And Carlton, I just want to make mention that you could be a bodybuilder for all we know. You could have a six-pack.
I carry my six-pack in a different location, as you can see here. Okay. I'm closer to 6 months pregnant than it is a six-pack. But I'm okay with that at my age, so I'm just fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on here to the both of you. I really appreciate it. Carlton, before I let you go, though, did you have a question for Stu or Amy, or you just wanted to come on and say thanks to them?
Literally a minute before I came online, so I didn't get a chance to hear the rest of it. But the little bit I did hear, it sounded really good, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, both of you. Nancy, you too. Thank you for joining us.
Take
I
care,
really
all.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Really appreciated them talking about the independence, because that's one of the things that I coach women on, is to not be needy and to make sure that they give their man his independence. But I'm a very independent woman, so I appreciate that it's two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nancy, for joining us. I really appreciate that. You have a great night, and I hope to see you back here on another Blab, okay?
Yes. I enjoyed the last one, too.
Yes.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Thanks so much.
Can you see us again? Okay, good.
Yes. Pop back on again. So you guys, Amy, I just have a quick question for you. Can I have you back on again sometime so that we can talk about the schools in Uganda? Because obviously with my school in Uganda and you having schools in Uganda, it is just like top of mind for me quite often.
Most of our schools now, though, are in Kenya. But
we did start, we had one in Uganda we kind of helped with, but now they're all in Kenya. But for sure, I'd love to.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that. That's good. All right. Well, I just think that there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of curiosity about it. And I've seen you're doing webinars now about it, which I was so excited about that. That is just really awesome. It's a great way to honor what you're doing and to really get the word out there. You know?
Getting more comfortable with the whole being behind a camera and all that stuff.
She's doing great.
Yeah, it does take time. She is. With your coaching and with your help, Stu, your support has been awesome too, I'm sure. Well, you guys, I totally love both of you. I just think that you guys are amazing, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being here tonight. And if you would you let our audience know where they can find out more information about the two of you?
You can find out about our charity that we founded at worldteacheraid.org. And my email is amy@worldteacheraid.org.
And I am at stu.me. That's where you'll find everything about me. Yep.
.me. All right. I'm actually going to put both of your links underneath the video when it goes live on YouTube, so that way people can access both of you. Okay.
All right, Kelly. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.